Hi, I'm Jill Maurer, and I want to talk about Madonna's Billboard Acceptance speech. It was an incredible speech. If you haven't seen it, please take a moment to see it. It's in the description. There's a link below. Take a moment to see it. It was amazing, and it particularly hit home for me because I was coming of age at the time Madonna was becoming famous. And I talk a lot about design and about masculine and feminine in design, and also masculine and feminine in each other, in ourselves. Masculine is on one end of the spectrum, feminine is on the other end of the spectrum, and everything, including you and every person, is somewhere on the spectrum. So, and I have shared with you that I often am very far over to the masculine side, even though I feel very feminine. A lot of Madonna's speech was about her exploring where she was on this spectrum between feminine versus masculine, and thinking that she had the freedom to be anywhere that she wanted to be on that spectrum. And the fact is, Madonna and you and me, we all have the freedom to be anywhere we want to be on that spectrum. I came of age at the time Madonna was becoming famous, so I very much connected with her speech, and I was very much in a similar situation in that I thought that the women and the men who had gone before me and given me the freedom to vote and given me the freedom to work and given me the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do, I really bought that. I bought that I had that freedom. And it was a slap in the face every time somebody tried to take that freedom from me, and somebody tried to tell me that I didn't have the freedom to be where I wanted to be on that spectrum. And that's what Madonna was experiencing. Madonna said a lot of things. One of the things that she said was that she had a lot of muses, a lot of people who had gone before her that she appreciated and was inspired by. One of the people that she really respected and really wanted to emulate was David Bowie. And she said that David Bowie embodied male and female spirit, and that suited her just fine. So what she's saying there is he had the freedom to go along the spectrum as he wished. You know, sometimes he looked very more masculine, sometimes he wore a lot of makeup and looked very much more feminine, and he played with that and had the freedom to do so. Madonna talks about how, you know, she was berated and she was vilified and even demonized for being brazen about her sexuality, yet at the same time Prince could wear fishnets and stilettos and lipstick and flash his ass. She assumed that everyone had the freedom to do so. And the fact is, everyone does have the freedom to do so. But when she came forward and tried to play with her masculine and feminine sides, she met with resistance, and a lot of resistance. And this was her frustration. It was my frustration as well. Now, of course, I wasn't living on the grand scale that Madonna was, but I experienced this. I can give you just a little example of this. So when I started in the workforce in the late 80s, it was the 80s, we had the big shoulder pads. We dressed a lot like men in a sense, not that we were allowed to wear pants to work, we couldn't go that far. And I get called into my boss's office. So I sit down and he tells me that there's a problem, and it's a problem with my dress, and it is the fact that I have toe cleavage. Yeah, toe cleavage. And I needed a definition of toe cleavage. I mean, I'm what? So his problem was that my shoe, which was a man-approved shoe, it was a pointed-toed heel stiletto, that the vamp was a little too far down my foot, and you could see some of the cracks between my toes, which he identified as toe cleavage, and that was not okay. What he was saying to me is that I was letting a little bit of my femininity, and not only my femininity, but my sexuality show through toe cleavage. And what he was saying is, you've made me uncomfortable here. I'm uncomfortable here because I can see here that you're a woman. And that toe cleavage is a little bit provocative. And this is certainly not my problem. This is your problem, and you are going to fix it. This is the result of living in a very masculine society. My toe cleavage is my toe cleavage. His problem is his problem. And that's pretty much what I told him, that he would be needing to face a world of toe cleavage and get used to it. So in the workplace, I can give you another example of sort of treating a woman differently from a man. So I was in this engineering firm. It was an engineering consulting firm, and we're consulting on the telecommunications industry. And I have the same degree everybody else does. We all had, to be in this company, really Ivy League engineering degrees, and we're in there, and I'm in a meeting with a man who was actually more forward-thinking. Now, forward-thinking for the 80s, but you know what? You're trying. So this masculine versus feminine spectrum, part of where you are on that spectrum has to do with where you are in time, and we were in the 80s. And we're all in the meeting. I'm the only woman there, and they're just not getting what I'm trying to say. So I get up, I go to the whiteboard, and I write out an algorithm. Just right there, I create the algorithm that needs to be created to get the job done that we need to. And suddenly they all see it because it's right there on the board in black and white, very mathematical. And the boss says, okay, that's great, everybody can go. So then he said, Jill, stay here. I am really surprised that you created that algorithm. Why? Was my response. Why? Why are you surprised that I created this algorithm? And he said, well, you know, I just am. Why? Why are you surprised? The why was because I'm a woman. I was a woman who did this algorithm. That's the real why. And he said, I don't know why you're getting upset here, or I don't know why you're confronting me on this. I'm trying to tell you that you did a good job. And I said, no, you're not. What you're telling me is that you're surprised that I did a good job. I was doing, by all accounts, a great job. Why are you surprised? These are the subtleties where, you know, he's thinking he's given me a atta girl, and he's given me a, that was amazing. You know, so if you can imagine that Madonna is in a world where people are getting called into the office over toe cleavage, and here she is being brazenly sexual and saying, you know what, I am a woman, I am sexy, I pose nude, and I'm not going to apologize for it. I don't really care how uncomfortable you are with it. I did it, and we're moving on. And you really don't like it? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to up the ante, and I'm going to put out a book on sex. And this book is going to be all about my fantasies, and it is going to include men, lots of men, all together around me as I have a whip. I think there were dogs involved. I mean, like, it was out there for the 80s, and she caught a lot of flack. Up until that point, the way that the women's movement had gone was that women were allowed to do what a man did, but it was a man's world, and we had to fit into that man's world. So the contribution of the women in the 80s was that we said, not only can I do a man's job or a job that a man is doing, but I can do it as a woman. I can do this job as a woman, and I'm not going to apologize for being a woman, and I'm not going to change. So not only are you going to deal with toe cleavage, but let me tell you about this ruffled collared thing and this tie and this ascot. I'm taking this crap off. You can forget about it. I mean, I'm not going to come in there with my boobs up in your face, and we're not going to have a lot of cleavage. But you know what? I have breasts, and they're going to be present in the meeting. I'm not going to try to hide them in your man's suit. And I'm going to open my collar, and I might put a necklace on, and you know what? I'm going to paint my nails, and I'm going to be a woman doing your job. Madonna also talks about aging and longevity, and not that part of her strength has been that she is still here after 34 years of living in a male-dominated world where she was told that it wasn't okay to be feminine. But really part of what she's talking about is that women don't have the permission to age. Men do. You know, we admire wrinkles on men, we admire white hair on men. This is wisdom, and this is strength, and it's all revered and is okay. And that same thing is not revered in our society for women. We color our gray, we fight our wrinkles, we do everything we can to appear younger. And what Madonna is saying is because that's what men have told us that we need to be, that we are buying into that. Where this comes from is fertility. That when you appear younger, you are fertile. And for men, when they are younger and stronger and have the darker hair, they are more virile. But as a man loses his virility, that isn't a problem. But as a woman loses her ability to bear children, her fertility, she is now useless, is the message in our society. That her use is really to bear children. That is ridiculous. All of the same things are true for women. A woman doesn't have an expiration date any more than a man has an expiration date. That there is wisdom, there is strength, there is a lot to be learned and a lot to be gained from women from understanding and listening to women who are older, just like it is with men. And what Madonna's saying is we need to own that. Another thing that I found very interesting about Madonna's speech, and this is in relation to design, and trust me, this was no accident. Madonna absolutely knows what she's doing. She dressed very, very much like Prince. So Madonna has experimented in her life with all different kinds of dress and hairstyles and makeup, and I mean, she's been a chameleon, and a lot of that is about, exploring the feminine and masculine side. But I loved that she dressed, it was Purple Rain all the way, right? She's in a purple silk brocade pantsuit with the crazy tie, and it was a very Prince outfit. And then she puts her award down and she takes a very masculine wide leg brace stance, makes a crass comment about having something hard between her legs. This is all setting us up so beautifully for this speech. This is all, I am this blend of masculine and feminine. I am powerful. I'm not apologizing for my sexuality, and we're going to talk. I just loved it. So those were my thoughts on Madonna's speech, and a big thank you to Madonna for that wonderful speech and for opening this conversation. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it, what you think about it, and your perspective on it. Are you about my age and you were growing up with Madonna? What were your experiences? And if you're younger, what is your perspective, and how has this given you freedom, or what work do we still have left to do? And perhaps if you're older and wiser, you can share your wisdom with us here. I'd love to hear from you.